Alrighty, so a couple of days ago we had a look at a match that Serral recently played of Zerg versus Terran, and let's just say that he is extremely good at playing with the Zerg pieces, even against a maxed out mech army. It actually sparked a bit of a debate in the comment section. Some people a little bit more hostile than others, some people were extremely triggered by the way that he controlled his Vipers in particular. We haven't seen anyone really control Vipers like that before though, so we'll see what it looks like in the future. But today we're gonna have a look at how good Serral here, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Nightshade, is going to be against a top-tier Protoss player. His opponent, playing with the red Protoss pieces from South Korea, he's known as the Shield of Ire. In my opinion, the strongest Protoss in the world. At the very least when it comes to there's like a couple of Protoss players out there that are really good in specific situations. Like for example Zest, and then there's players like Hero, and they are all really strong in very specific situations. I think overall, we can all consider Stats to be the best. The thing about Stats is that he's extremely good at just simply execution. It doesn't sound very significant, but he shaves a couple of seconds off of his build here and there. Even compared to like other top-level Protoss players, he seems to be able to get more stuff done faster and therefore end up with like a larger army than other players. I don't really know exactly why that is. It's small moves like this, I guess, right? So look at this probe here. This is just him being a massive jerk, trying to mess up the mining here. Serral is forced to actually pull the drones off of mining here for a little bit as well, and to force them to go around. You can see the Zerg drones are just trying to find the correct mineral patch just because this probe is being a massive jerk. Now that's not significant, right? But it will probably add up to about like 10 to 20 minerals or so. And against a weaker Zerg opponent, this is where Stats gains his advantages. I mean, not specifically over here, but it's this kind of mindset and this kind of approach that allows him to get small advantages that grow into larger advantages later on into the game. I think Serral actually loses like 10-20 minerals here. Against a weaker Zerg though, who doesn't micro against this whatsoever, probably closer to like 30 or 40 or so, which is very significant at this point in the game, because other than that one probe, right? There's not a whole lot of other harassment tools available. It is going to be a Stargate play. Okay. So one thing that has become very popular recently in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup is for Protoss players to go for one Phoenix into triple Oracle. Phoenixes are surprisingly tanky. You won't be able to see the third base just yet, but I'm sure that the Adept will find that out in just a little bit. The Adept actually hunting for that one scouting Zergling. It will indeed find it. But the triple Oracle one Phoenix start is now extremely popular. So basically what you do is you scoot on in there with the Phoenix first, you lift up the Queen, you let like a Spore Crawler attack the Phoenix for a little while, and then the Oracles can in the meantime zap away at the drones. It's one of those builds that has a lot of potential. Now Serral obviously very practiced against that kind of style as well, so we'll see what he decides to do against this, as he does figure it out here in a little bit, I'm sure. He at the very least knows that there's a Phoenix coming. Actually, a weird little Overlord mind game. Did you see that? Serral is actually trying to send the Overlord towards the left. He's trying to hide it. Stats probably assumes. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Oh, Stats assumed that that Overlord flew towards the left. He's looking for it, but it's actually hiding in plain sight. Yeah, no, you can see the probe, but the probe can't see the Overlord. That is such a cheeky move. That's a 200 IQ Overlord positioning right here, because now, without Overlord speed, he's still going to be able to confirm exactly what's going on. If you would see a second Phoenix here, that would certainly prompt a bit of a different response. Right now, he does see indeed that there's going to be one Oracle, and then a second Oracle as a follow-up here as well. That move right there was brilliant. Really, really nicely done there by Serral. He gets all the information he needs without really spending any additional resources. Okay, so let's see what his defense is going to look like. Spore Crawlers are coming up already in the main and in the natural as well. Zerglings still scouting around. I'm sure they're going to try and see if they can slow down a potential third base. Man, that was a cheeky move with that Overlord. I'm actually still flabbergasted. He like sold the story, man. Give that Overlord an Emmy. Well, I guess he died, which is a little bit sad, but at the very least, like a golden. I don't know anything about, you know, those prizes that you can earn, but what I'm trying to say is that Overlord was an excellent actor. Okay, it was flying towards the west while actually moving north. Absolutely incredible. All right, so they're coming up, and here's that hit squad. So it's actually only going to be 2 Oracles right now. Same deal though. So you can certainly go ahead and pick up that Queen. If he wants to. There you go. And then start zapping away right here at those drones. Now the queens from the third, though, moved on over in this direction, too. And all things considered, not the most successful harassment. Zerglings over here tried to slow things down. Now the Shield of Ire has got that name for good reason, okay? I'm pretty sure that once Stats plants down a third base, he doesn't lose it. He's very good at just simply defending. Now, honestly, most Zerg players right now do not like playing against that maxed out Skytoss style, okay? Just like we saw in the game that Serral played against Innovation, where Innovation decided to go for that really slow, maxed out mech army. Serral is one of the few players who actually feels confident playing against maxed out armies. Which is a little bit odd. Most Zerg players at this point, at the very least now that the meta is still pretty new, they are trying their very best. Once again, by the way, a couple of drones go down. Nicely done. But most Zerg players at this point in the meta are trying their best to do like a timing attack against both Protoss and Terran to prevent the game from going towards that later stage. I feel like Serral is kind of unique in the sense that he doesn't really mind playing that Corruptor Viper hit squad. I mean, he's already shown how good he is at that Viper control. He seems to be in a league ahead of most other players. So we'll see what Stats would like to do here. I wouldn't actually mind seeing Stats go for like a timing attack. Well, right now it's maybe a little bit early. I think this is a fake push. Yeah, he doesn't actually want to go out into the map. This is just to force out roaches and Zerglings, and it worked. There you go, that's one way to slow down Zerg from droning. To be fair though, Zerg already at 66 workers here. Guys! Gods can bleed! Serral does only have 2 out of 3 in gas right there. He made a mistake. I can't believe it. What a noob. Even I don't... Actually, I do that all the time. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. He did make a small error though. Okay. So what I was trying to say, I wouldn't mind seeing Stats actually go for like a timing attack in a little bit. He's adding on additional gateways right now. A couple more over here too. So that will bring the grand total up to 8 in just a little bit. We'll see how many he wants to have in total. Good scouting here in general though. But I kind of feel like if you are... Is he gonna get that? Wow, he will. Apparently there's a little bit of dead space here. He needs to wait until he can recall those units back home. But I kind of feel like letting Serral do whatever is one of the scariest things that can happen. Serral did scout out that it is gonna be that Archon Immortal based mid-game. So he's going up towards a Spire and then also a Hive. So maybe he still wants to go Brute Lords. Now Brute Lords nowadays have 10 range rather than 12. Especially noticeable against Thors, since the Thor has been changed quite a bit. But I guess against Protoss, you can still certainly try and counter this Archon Immortal Sentry, Zealot Storm kind of mid-game army. He's actually getting Storm right now too. I think you can still counter that using Brute Lords just fine. Okay, so here we go. There's a Prism with this force. 6 additional Zealots get warped in. Good force fields there. That's 2 Queens. Very significant. Queens are very important at this stage in the game. That creep spread looking really nice and juicy. And with 2 Queens down the drain, this creep spread is going to slow down quite a bit. Actually, I don't really know if Stats is... maybe this is like the janitor crew over here, you know? He's just here to swipe up some creep. Clean things up a little bit. Tidy the place. Yeah, he's not actually looking to fight. Once again, forcing a ton of units there out of Zerg. Stats is playing a dangerous game though, because you never really know where the Zerg army is entirely located. Zerg players of this caliber don't leave their army in one big clump. So if you move out too far on the map, you can accidentally find yourself getting surrounded. So Stats does decide to move back there, now that he's got the 4th base. Psionic Storm is also done, so that's obviously the best spell in the game, right? Psionic Storm, absolutely amazing. Stats also has a Prism and a Dream. He can get a lot of value out of Prisms. Couple of High Templar here are available, and it looks like they all have a Storm each. Alright. Serral, looking aggressive here. He's got a Greater Spire on the back of this too, but it feels to me like he wants to get something done right here, right now. Once again, scouting to see if there's already going to be that Stargate transition. Sees that that is not the case. Do you think he wants to commit here? I feel like you want to commit here if you go up against that Stargate army later on. I'm not sure if you want to commit here right now. This wall over here critical as well against these Banelings. So we're actually cycling towards the left. And he's actually in a bit of a weird position, right? Like normally Serral is a little bit more decisive here. I think he expected the Stargate push. The Stargate transition rather already to happen, but here we go. He does decide to commit, then backs off again. Realizing that most of that Protoss army was actually in the northern section. Ooh, good set of force fields. But Zerg was just barely too slippery there. Right now it's actually Zerg that's called out onto the map. Serral did still leave a couple of units behind over here. He can just simply roll through that photon cannon. At the same time, though, Stats is going to try and see if he can once again move out onto the map. Here we go. Lynx and Banes committing to the fight. This full wall, though, is tremendous, right? So this is still going to kill a couple of probes, but only 7 there at the cost of pretty much that whole Zerg force. Not the greatest of trades. Zerg losing a ton more here so far in this game. The Shield of Ire looking strong. Now, this is one of those timing attacks that's actually terrifying. We do now finally have to transition towards the Fleet Beacon coming up. With 8 gases, that is something that Protoss can do. But I think he's actually smelling something right now. It's blood! I think he wants to try and see if he can end this game right here, right now. This is a scary Protoss force. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Zerg essentially maxed out right now. Very good upgrades as well. Mostly comprised of Lings and Banes here. They deal so much damage. Decent Storm on that side. 9 probes, by the way, ended up going down here. A couple of Zealots also slicing away at a few drones. I feel like, oh man. Stats is playing with fire though, right? Like moving so deep onto the creep. Serral though, I think what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to bait him out. Serral is not being impatient here. This is one of the hardest things to obtain when you're a Zerg player. Here we go. Good storms do land, actually. Some of that Zerg army awkwardly on the bottom section of the map. A couple of them come up from the high ground right now, too. Not a great engagement there for the Zerg player whatsoever, but eventually, though... Ooh, I feel like that prison was so dead. Eventually, I think he's going to be able to clean this up. I say that, but... yeah, it's just that all of these units are so low. I say that, but he's not really leaving this position at this moment right now. Zerglings will be able to clean up that Zealot run by. The northern section of the map, 6 drones end up costing their life there. But he is going to be able to get back in. Alright. Mothership actually coming up. Very cool. Oh, you know what? I thought this was going to be a Stargate transition, but it's not. I think this is like a sustained mid-game army composition where he's just adding in a Mothership. Huh, that's very interesting. Normally, when we see the Mothership coming up, it's at the same time as we also see a transition towards additional Stargate units. Now, Serral obviously scouts this because that's kind of what he does. Somehow, some way, there's one changeling hanging out right over there. Immortal, by the way, gets picked off, but this is all very minor. Somehow, some way he knows about this, but what is going to be his response? So, a couple of Corruptors are coming up. Those are the first couple, actually, so he's not going to be able to really do too much here against that Mothership once it is out. He's transitioning right now towards Pathogen Glands too. So he's probably looking for, you know, a couple of Infestors here together with maybe like Neural Parasite or something along those lines. Broodlords and Infestors were a match made in heaven. They're still pretty good, but not as good as they once were with the removal of the infested Terran. Serral, though, does still have a very significant army, right? And a very good economy as well. So he's up to +3 attack for the melee units here. Question is he going to have enough here to deal with the follow-up push? So this is a weird timing. These are lethal timing attacks that Stats is doing, okay? A weaker Zerg player would have died to the previous one. Right now, he's going for wave number 2, which he actually prepared while going for the previous one. Motherships take forever to finish, but this is very cool. Not something I've seen in recent years. Massive storms do land on some of that Protoss army as well. Once again, Zealots obviously coming up for the run by here. Not surprising. Ooh, that's not a good trade though for Protoss. This does now allow him to move forward. One of the Broodlords actually gets picked off for free. This is actually starting to look very dicey for Serral. A couple of Brutes are out. Other than... Oh my god, he actually blinks forward. I was going to say, other than Stalkers, there's really not that much to deal with this. We do see the massive Time Warp going down as well. Storm actually going down on all of those units that are moving in through the choke. All of the units right here actually now attack 50% slower, on top of also moving significantly slower. The Archons do get split off to try and mitigate some of that splash damage of the Banelings. Beautiful control here actually from Stats. Serral's desperately trying to reinforce this, and while the Mothership does fall, at what cost? So many units have gone down already. Stats doesn't have that prism anymore as far as I'm aware. No, actually, it comes in from the back right now. Regardless, Serral already called GG. And it turns out that with some excellent execution, you can certainly blindside Serral even when he knows exactly what is coming. What a cool style there actually from Stats. So normally we don't see the Mothership until it's with that big Skytles army, right? Normally as soon as you see a Mothership in production, and I think that's probably where things went wrong here for Serral as well. He saw the Mothership in production. He's like, okay, I got some time, right? This is going to take about 7.5 years to produce. That's at the very least what it feels like when you play Protoss. It takes about 7.5 years to produce one Mothership, and usually at the same time they will then start that transition towards Stargate units and, you know, carriers and all that, and Protoss really slows down at that point. I think that's probably what Serral was expecting, so he started up the transition towards late game, but then he got caught against what was essentially a mid-game Protoss army while in the middle of that transition. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much for all of your generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile alright, and I will see you once again in the next one.